Hello folks. Yeah, so I'm gonna get to the chase here. You know, anybody that ever has to deal with these things, you know, these cutter bars, whether it be in a swather, a haybine, or some people might even have mowers with these kinds of things too, whatever. What we have trouble with is when we, you know, break off one of these blades and we got to change it. And back in the old days, they used to have a rivet, and they would, you know, rivet the darn thing. You put a rivet in here, and you would use this machine, and you would, you know, squish the darn thing down onto the rivet to dome the end of it, whatever. But that was long before my time. I'm not that old. But anyways, what you end up with is one of these guys, and they work surprisingly very well. But the biggest problem with them is when you're setting them in here, there's one of two ways to get them in there most of the times. You put her in there like this, and then you get a hammer, and you got to try and pop that thing in there. But it's hard, and it never usually sets all the way up into here. And so what you end up doing is you got that in there, halfway's in there, then you take and you put your nut on there, and you're screwing that thing in to try and get this thing to go in there on the furrows, and then try and broach itself in there. Well, it kind of makes problems, because what happens is when you're pulling that guy in there, you're putting so much stress on these threads and so much stress on the bolt and the nut and all this kind of deal that you weaken it, or you either strip the threads out or you weaken this here. And then what happens is sometimes as you're pulling it in, you'll strip this out or you'll break that off, which is one thing. But what's even worse is if you do manage to pull it in there, you got this bolt so weakened up or whatever that it don't hold, and then the next thing, this old blade goes, it's gone. So what we got to do, or what I figured out would work, I take one of these old rivet tools that you used to use for riveting the old rivet blades on, and what I did was I switched these two things around, because originally this guy used to be on this side, and he was used for doming the rivets, and this side here was used for pressing the old rivets out after you had to take a chisel and knock the top of the rivet off. So I just switched them around to this here. So this guy's got the through and through hole here, and this guy's got the dome. So what I figured out to do is you take this guy in here like this here. You get this guy, you gotta loosen this guy off a little bit more here. Okay, got him, my fiddle fingers. Okay, so what we do here, put this in, and you get to see how like this. And you just turn that in there till you get it down on here. I could get lazy and just get the impact to put on here, but that will make so much noise on the video that whatnot. So we take our wrench, just turn that guy in there like this. And like I said, if you're working at doing it yourself, use an impact, and then you're not having to bust your buffers. You just turn her in until she gets right up in there. Spin her back out. There, see? Simple. The bolt's still got its strength. You've broached it into the thing there without weakening that bolt. And you use an impact, there's no chance of a wrench slipping and cutting your fingers, which I'm always mortally afraid of doing. Yeah, I don't really want to have to make any more trips to the emergency department than I usually do. So yeah, I always try to figure out these kinds of things. Yeah, so there, hope that helps.